Ladies and gentlemen, if today you were asked to advise Fred Okengo Matiang'I about his political journey towards 2027 presidential election, which kind of advice could you give to Fred Okengo Matiang'I? Because Fred Okengo Matiang'I has actually announced that he is going for presidency of this nation. And Fred Okengo Matiang'I has come out strongly and he is being received by the Kenyans in good faith. And many Kenyans feel that Fred Okengo Matiang'I is Mr. Fix-It. And Fred Okengo Matiang'I has actually come into the political arena in a different way, other than the way that Rigathi Gachagua has come into the political arena. So, if you were given that position of advising Fred Okengo Matiang'I, what could you tell Fred Okengo Matiang'I? So, today I want to come up with some pieces of advice to Fred Okengo Matiang'I. And if Fred Okengo Matiang'I will heed to these pieces of advice, then I am very sure that Fred Okengo Matiang'I is going to succeed on his journey to presidency, let come 2027. But before we come in and try to do that, I could request you kindly to take a minute or two and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video a like, share the video to your friends. And if your friends are lovers of politics, it's good to request them for us to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And whenever you subscribe to our YouTube channel, always make sure to smash the bell button, because that is the only way you give YouTube permission so that you can get notified whenever we upload any political content into YouTube. And for those ones who have subscribed to this YouTube channel, I will never become tired to tell you thank you so much, because you are behind our inspiration to continue coming up with this kind of political analysis. Now, let us go back to our discussion. Imagine you have been advised to give some pieces of advice to Fred Okengo Matiang'I. What kind of pieces of advice could you give to Fred Okengo Matiang'I? For me, the first advice I could give to Fred Okengo Matiang'I is that he must continue fronting himself as a unifying factor in the Republic of Kenya. Because from the time Fred Okengo Matiang'I entered into the political limelight, he actually said that he is going to be the person who is going to fix the problems of this nation. And from that time, Fred Okengo Matiang'I has been received very well in the entire Republic of Kenya. But Rigathi Gachagua has tried to advise Fred Okengo Matiang'I that he must come up with a party which its roots is from Gusii Nation, and he must first consolidates the Gusii nation so that whenever he goes to the national table for negotiation, he must be seen as controlling the Gusii nation. But I feel that this kind of advice is quite misleading to Fred Okengo Matiang'I, because already Fred Okengo Matiang'I is actually received to the political arena as a Kenyan and as a national leader. So if he could go forward and come up with a Gusii political party and think this will be unfortunate because he will represent himself as a tribal leader. And Fred Okengo Matiang'I should not do that. And that will make him, even when he goes to the national table, he will be seen as a person who has less shares. And that is what Rigi wants to do to Fred Okengo Matiang'I. And I can say for sure, Rigi is scared of Fred Okengo Matiang'I entry into the national politics because Fred has represented himself as a national figure and he has been received very well, even from the part that Rigi comes from. The people from Mount Kenya are saying that
Fred is fit
to be the president of this republic, and he should be given a chance to lead this nation, to fix this nation. And therefore, Fred Okengo Matiang'I should not actually be enticed by Rigi to form a political party with a tribal outlook, because that will lower Fred Okengo Matiang'I so much. Another thing that Fred Okengo Matiang'I must avoid at all cost is being reckless and confrontational, the same way Rigi is becoming, because day in, day out, Rigi is becoming too reckless. For example, please listen to these sentiments.
If that IBC tries to mess with the election,
Okay.
there will be no country here. 207 will look like a Christmas party. I can tell you. And I want to implore those commissioners to be Kenyans, to be patriotic, and not to attempt to force William Ruto on the people of Kenya. It will not work. The people of Kenya will not accept it. People want change, and they are ready for change.
After listening to those sentiments, you can clearly tell that the Rigi is becoming too much confrontational, and Rigi is becoming reckless. And therefore, for Fred Okengo Matiang'I, he must avoid being confrontational. He must avoid being reckless, because that will cheapen his political ambition. And instead, Rigi must come out as an odd one who must look as a savior of this nation. He must represent himself that he is a Kenyan. He is bringing to the nation what we call fixing the nation. He must sell his policies properly to the Kenyans. Because if he becomes confrontational, Kenyan will actually perceive him that what is the difference between him and William Samoei Arap Ruto, or what is the difference between him and Rigi? But if he must front himself by selling his policies to the Kenyans, how is going to fix this nation? Then he will become the topmost political leaders or a political leader in this nation. And many Kenyans are already attracted to Fred Okengo Matiang'I because he has shown that he can fix the nation. He has shown that he is a performer. He has shown that he is a no-nonsense person. So for now, what Fred Okengo Matiang'I must do is to come up with a clear framework how he's going to save the economy of this country, how he is going to reform the leadership of this nation, how he is going to lead this nation. So he must be very clear to the Kenyans in terms of economical recovery of this nation, in terms of leadership, or in terms of governance. So that's actually what Fred Okengo Matiang'I should do. Another thing that Fred Okengo Matiang'I should do is that when he should choose his political vehicle, that means his party, I think it will be wise for Fred Okengo Matiang'I to enter into the politics using a political party with a national outlook. There are people who are trying to say that he should come up with his own new party, but I think he should go for an already formed party like Jubilee. Even if some people say that might be a bad advice. Because if he enters with Jubilee as his fake vehicle, already he could have actually made himself to be like a leader who has been fronted into the political arena by the people of Mount Kenya. And that will give him the limelight in Mount Kenya, and he will be received even better in that part of the country. And that is actually what Rigi doesn't want to happen, because that's why Rigi is telling Fred Okengo Matiang'I that he should form his new political vehicle. But Fred Okengo Matiang'I should come up with a national political party which will make himself to look quite different from Rigi, from Kalonzo, from Martha Karua, because most of our political leaders, they always do things the same way. They always come up with tribal parties. And I think Kenyans are tired of that. So Fred Okengo Matiang'I should represent himself as a national leader, and he should have a political party with a national outlook. Lastly, Fred Okengo Matiang'I must by now know that he must form a political network across the entire nation. He must make sure that he has created that network, and he has individuals from every corner of the republic. And those individuals must know the political perspective, must know the politics of each particular part of the republic, so that Fred Okengo Matiang'I should use that network in campaigning. For example, if Fred Okengo Matiang'I goes to the coast, he must have coastal leaders who will welcome him and who will help him to do what we call a political campaign in that certain place, other than having similar people. Let's say the Gusii leaders who takes him to the coast, who takes him to the western, So if Fred will have that bigger network across the nation with indigenous of particular regions, that will make himself to look as a national leaders, and that will make himself to be perceived very well, to have a common good for the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were given that chance to advise Fred Okengo Matiang'I, what should you advise him to do? Or what should you advise him not to do? Please, I could like you to drop your comment in the comment section below. And if this is your first time to bump into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly to take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video a like. Share the video to your friends. And if your friends are lovers of politics, then it's good to request them for us to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And whenever you do the subscription, always make sure to smash the bell button. Because once you do that, you give YouTube permission to notify you so that you can watch any political content that we upload into YouTube. And for those ones who have actually subscribed to this YouTube channel, I say thank you so much, because you are behind our inspiration to continue coming up with this kind of political analysis. And with that, I say thank you. May God bless you all abundantly until we meet in our next political discussion. Goodbye.